Hey everybody, Frugal Farmer here. Sorry about the quality of this picture, but I'm having to take it from my computer because I can't go to the copy store and pull off a copy of it. But anyway, for those of you who may not remember, this is what you call a Bouffant hairdo. Some women could wear it, some women couldn't. Anyway, I was 16, maybe about to turn 17. It was spring of the year, I do remember that much. And a friend of my daddy's, who was an old Navy guy, and those guys were tight, as I've mentioned before, needed a favor done. Well, I thought the gentleman, he was very well to do and had several businesses. I thought he wanted to hire me. Well, it wasn't that. My daddy told me I'd go see him Saturday morning about 8 o'clock and be ready to be gone all day because he had something for me to do. And my daddy also told me, he said, son, he said, don't you tell none of your friends, and you and I'll never talk about this again. Do you understand? Well, my daddy said something like that. I knew what the deal was. I said, no, sir. So I went to the man's place of business, and went back there. It was him and another guy. I'm not sure who the other guy was. I never asked because I was never to talk about it again. But everybody except me in this has passed away, and so evidently there was a lady locked up kind of a good ways into South Carolina, and everybody wanted a little bit of deniability about it, and the only one to be able to go down there was me, because these grown men didn't want to go down there with this single woman. And I don't know if this guy had fancied her at one time and they were on the outs or whatever, but anyway, I was to go get this woman. Well, he told me where the town was, and it was off 95, and I was pretty familiar with 95. So he showed me where it was on the map, and yeah, I guess I don't know, I guess his nerves were bothering me. He said, "Are you sure you can get there, son?" And I'd noticed the exit number. I said, "Sir, it's that exit." I said, "I'll get off that exit and go in there." I said, "It looks like, about 2.5 hours to me." And the other guy shook his head. I never heard that. He did say, "Hey," I think, when I walked in. But he said, "Yeah, that's right." So he said, "Here's the envelope that you're going to be giving to her. And she's in jail, and you're going to pay this money." I said, "Am I going to get in any trouble on this?" And he said, "No, not at all." He said, "You're going to put up a cash bond for this lady." And he said, "Once you do that, you carry her out somewhere to eat, and you give her this envelope after she's got out of your vehicle." He said, "You make sure you give it to her after she's got out." And I didn't really understand that part of the situation till later on, and we'll get back to that. Well, anyway, I get the money, and he's giving me extra money for gas and my time and everything. I made good money that day. I made real good money. Well, I head off in my little Volkswagen, heading south, and I get there pretty much no problem. This is for GPS, young people. And I did have to ask how to get to the county jail there. So I went up there, and I was dressed real nice too, because I thought I was going to have to do some work for this guy. I didn't know whether to dress manual labor or proper labor. So anyway, I go to the jailhouse and tell them I'm there to see about posting her bond. They kind of looked at each other because I looked real young. When I was like 16, I probably looked like I was about 9. So they said, "Well, son, I think it was $500." Said it was $500. I said, "Okay." I said, "No problem." And so I have to sign a paper, and I give them the $500. Well, this lady comes out. Well, she'd been locked up a few days, and that Bouffant was kind of flat on one side and at a right angle, about 30 degrees. And she comes out and, well, you'd have thought she was the Queen of Sheba when she come out. And, are you here for me? I said, yes, ma'am. So they gave her all her stuff back, and we were headed to the car, and I opened the door for her. Got her in, and she got a cigarette out. She was looking at me. And I was like, I didn't know what. And she said, a lady never lights her cigarette in front of a gentleman if he is one. I said, ma'am, I don't smoke. And so anyway, we go to a restaurant. She wants to go in there to eat. And that was part of the deal. He told me, he said, get her something to eat. And, well, we go in there, and she asked, she said, does this place have a maitre d'? I said, ma'am, I'm not from here. I said, I don't know. I said, we'll look on the menu and see. I didn't know what a maitre d' was. I learned that day, and she told me. So we sat there and ate, and she was smoking her cigarette and excused herself to the ladies' room and come back. She'd worked on her bouffant a little bit, but there wasn't that much she could do to it. Well, she said, are you carrying me home? I said, yes, ma'am, but I don't know where you live. You'll have to show me. And she was, all right then, whatever. So she stayed about 5 miles from there, and I got her there, and she lived in a boarding house. Nothing wrong with a boarding house, but I thought I was carrying this woman to the Taj Mahal the way she was talking to me. Well, we got there, and she said, where are you going from here? And I said, I'm going back home, ma'am. And she said, okay. Well, I got her out of the car, and I walked her up to the door. And I got her, and I had the envelope in my back pocket. I pulled the envelope out. I said, oh. I said, I was told to give this to you. She said, really? And so I handed it to her, and as I was going down the stairs, she said, well, hold on a minute. And I knew I didn't need to hold on a minute, so I was heading on back to the car, and she called me a couple times. And I said, that's all I need for that woman to get back in this car. And sure enough, she said, hold on. She said, I need to go with you. And I was taking off at that point. But I got back, and it wasn't real late, so it wasn't out of my normal realm to be gone during the day on the weekend like that. My daddy looked at me and winked and nodded his head, and I winked and nodded my head, and that was the last we ever discussed that. Well, I don't know what happened to the woman after that, but that same man, when I went into business, he kind of helped me out a little bit, shoot me work and stuff for different people. Never discussed it with him. Well, I had worked for the phone company, and we had this guy who was faking being a cop, and he sorry about that. He'd stalked our receptionist. Our receptionist was such a sweet person. She was just so sweet. And he even had words with me because he thought had paranoid ideas about every man that worked there, about his ex-girlfriend at this point. Well, she finally had to leave from around here, and that was 10 years ago. What just happened, I saw this man's daughter in the car with that guy. So I said, man, this situation's bad. So I went and told him what all I knew on the guy. And I said, and I knew his daughter. She's a sweet, sweet girl. And I said, the guy's no good. I said, you may want to check him out. And I said, that's your business. I said, I'm not trying to get in your family business by any means. So he said, well, I'll give it a look-see. Well, I get a call. This is still, it was on landlines. He asked me to come by and see him the next day. So I would go by there and drop by there and see him. So he said, well, he said, I did everything that you asked. I was waiting on, I said, asked. He said, yeah. He said, I checked that guy out. Said, he's a fake, all right. He said, we had to get a restraining order on him, and said, he never knew, how I got my information. And I said, I'll just, I know your daughter, I know she's a sweet girl, and I knew that guy was a jerk, and I didn't want her to be hurt or, go through what my friend went through that I worked with. Well, he thanked me. He sent me more work over the years, and he passed away. But all everybody in that first episode that I was sworn to secrecy is gone, passed on, and I'll never name no names. So I just thought it was a funny story, and ended up kind of funny how things come back and relate. Thanks for stopping by. Come back again when you will. Share, comment, like, hit that subscribe button. God bless.